Hi, welcome back to Scrap Kitchen. This is my third episode so far. I think I'm going to call this one Commons and the Myth Burnout, which is not too... Yeah, I have had some things to say about burnout. I have written a thing about how to avoid it, but I had an interesting reframing of it recently, and I don't want it to be a clickbaity title, but that was how it was presented to me. I'm going to sort of rationalize it. So I just came back from going to a conference in Ohio, to the Ohio Ecological Food and Farm Association conference. I'm currently in Michigan, but they're very kind and they let people from different states come. It was really, really interesting. It reinvigorated the already building excitement in me for getting to start farming this season. And I got to see a lot of really interesting people talk, especially about things that are very close to home. I really like going to these kind of conferences and making friends with people. Got some very interesting takeaways. One of the people who spoke was Sophia Buggs, and she did an absolutely heart-wrenching speech about asking for help, specifically with long COVID, and the complexities of her as a woman who is black, saying that she could not breathe. Because of long COVID, but also because of the compounding stresses that she was undergoing, working with farming and going to DC, and she had to ask for help, and she received it, but it was about the learning of asking for help, and that really struck me as someone who had COVID and then took a very, very long time to recover. I spoke to a friend a few months back, and she asked if I still needed a full day in bed every week, and I was like, what? And then I remembered that actually when we met in Colorado on a farm, I did actually need one full day in bed for months, for the whole time I was there, because I was still suffering from long COVID and nursing myself back to health really, really slowly. So that was a really interesting reminder of not how far I'd come, but what destabilizing events I was just absolutely forgetting from my own history. I also listened to Jim Embry, who has won a James Beard Award recently, along with Ira Wallace and Rowan White. And he is a seed guy. He's also a slow food movement guy. He had some really amazing things to say just about how we need to we treat the world the same way we treat women, so we need to treat the world and women better to make this a better place. We need to return to ancestral knowledge and the knowledge keepers within indigenous communities, and it's people of colour and women and queers and indigenous people who will be leading the climate recovery. So yeah, that was really interesting. He then got asked, because he is a speaker, he travels around, he also organises and has a farm, or works with a farm, how he does it. And it really stuck out to me, his answer, which was that we have in some way been conditioned to think that if we get too politically involved, or we get too involved and invested within our communities, that we will hashtag burnout, that we will the weight of it all will just crush us, and that we'll not be able to do anything anymore. And while that is a possibility, while if we take on too much and bite off more than we can chew, we could absolutely get crushed by the weight of our own ambitions. His point was that if you are building community, if you're building a web of reliance and mutual support, mutual aid, mutual encouragement, and shouldering the burden for someone else, they also shoulder the burden for you. We create an interwoven mycelial network of support. And so by doing the scary thing and getting involved in our local political scene, getting involved in our local communities, doing acts of resistance that are at times technically illegal, or at times just scary because we haven't done them before, or relearning things that it seems a little intimidating. By doing that, you actually like stabilize yourself within a community, within a space, and you give the community a chance to help you, and you get to serve your community. It also makes me think of a book that I read recently, which I'm blanking on the name of, but I'm pretty sure it's Who is Wellness For? And I read that because I was listening to Nikki Franco's Venus Roots podcast, where she interviews the author, and the author was saying, it's actually a very Capricorn sentiment of her, but she was saying, isn't it like so sexy, so exciting to be like beholden to other people, to have a responsibility to other people? We could go around and be little like islands, but it's actually so exciting that we are interconnected, because it means that you are accountable to people, they're accountable to you, and you work together. So it just made me think of all those interconnected little things. I'll have to speed this up because I'm trying to stay under 10 minutes. This week, on the farm that we're managing, we're doing a lot of little things to get ready for next year. I am going to be doing a germination test of some corn that my boss saved a couple of years ago. It is glass gem corn, and then there is another one that's like a deep black and slightly smaller, and I want to grow these out in the Three Sisters way of growing things, which is corn, beans, squash, and it's an indigenous technique native to America, well, to Turtle Island. But I need to check that the corn will actually grow. So she's given me some pots of corn. I am quick and dirty going to put them in a little Tupperware with a piece of wet paper, and I'm going to put out like a 10 by 10 square of each of them, and then see how many germinate. And that is my germination percentage, which is actually something you have to do by law if you're going to be selling seeds, but I'm not going to get into the technicalities of exactly what you have to do if you're going to sell seed. But I'm doing germination tests this week. We're also seeding onions, continuing to build our new soil table, which I talked about last week. We're going to a meetup for veg growers in the area. We're going to some training on how to make sure that your veg is kept like safe and, I was going to say healthy, but clean post-harvest, just to make sure that we're up to date on all of the like laws that change, or the guidelines that you need to know. Long term, there are no true updates, but I am really, really hopeful, which is an update. When we were at the conference in Ohio, there were 4 or 5 different offers of people who were saying, I have 2 acres, I have a greenhouse, I just need to find some young people who want to farm it. And that made me so excited if I was going to live in Ohio. But I'm so, so excited for the idea that there are probably farmers like that in the UK who just don't know where to look. And as long as we keep putting our word out there, we might be able to connect with them. And even if we connect with them and it's not the right person, as long as we keep growing our networks, we can connect the right people to the right farmers. So if anyone listening to this has any farmer connections who happens to have 2 acres and a greenhouse, please let me know. But otherwise, very hopeful, very excited. It snowed in Ohio while we were there. Lots of the people in the conference had made points that like, we don't get snow anymore, and then it snowed. But it's still not to the same extent that it was pre-climate chaos. But it was beautiful to see. So I got to see a little bit of winter that I thought I was going to miss. So overall, pretty excited, pretty pumped for the coming year, and I'll keep you updated. Thanks for listening. Bye.